the way to get to the core of the secular liberal ethic is to recognize that it rests on a worldview that devalues the body. Think of it this way. Even my homosexual friends agree that on the level of biology, physiology, anatomy, chromosomes, males and females are counterparts to one another. That's how the human sexual and reproductive system is designed. To embrace a same-sex identity, therefore, is to contradict that design. It's to say, why should my body inform my identity? Why should my biological sex as male or female have any say in my moral choices? We have to help people to realize that this is a profoundly disrespectful view of the body. It pits the mind against the body and says it's only the mind and feelings that count. So to use our metaphor of two stories in a building, the body is in the lower story and the mind and emotions are in the upper story, where they can even override your biological identity. So once again, what should Christians say? Christians should say, why accept such a demeaning view of the body? The Christian ethic is holistic. Our minds and emotions are meant to be in tune with our body, to be in harmony with our biological sex. My book, Love Thy Body, is full of anecdotes. It's lots and lots of stories. Now that I'm teaching at a university, I get lots of stories from my students. So it's not just moral arguments, lots of stories. And let me tell you about one, about a young man named Sean, who identified as exclusively homosexual when he was growing up. Today, he is married to a woman and has 3 children. And by the way, he's also a Christian ethics professor in London. You know Sean Doherty? I figured you would. And the interesting thing about his story is that he grew up in a gay-affirming family and attended a gay-affirming church. So he didn't think there was really anything wrong with homosexuality. His change was not driven by guilt or shame. See, a lot of homosexuals will say, well, if you change, it's because you're driven by self-loathing. But in Sean's case, that was not the case. Here's how he describes it. He said, I realized that as a man, God's original intention for me in creation was to be able to relate sexually to a woman. This remained true quite irrespective of whatever feelings I might have. So he wasn't out to change his feelings directly, which rarely works. He said, my goal was to acknowledge what I already had, a male body, as a good gift from God. And eventually my feelings started to follow suit. So in other words, he accepted his embodied existence as fundamentally good. And that's really the question at the core of this debate. Do we live in a cosmos operating by blind material causes, or a cosmos created by a loving God, which is therefore intrinsically good?